Top 10 oil-producing countries in the world. Welcome to World Top 1. In this video, we will talk about the countries that produce oil. Let's compare production and export. Oil has long been considered the earthly wealth that allows the state to be a highly developed and economically stable country in the world. The economies of countries around the world largely depend on the position in the world of the countries in which oil is produced, what political regimes exist there, and how stable they are. On every continent and in every part of the world, there is a list of states that have already taken solid positions in the oil production market. At the same time, every year there is a redistribution of leading positions. For example, if in 2013 the United States occupied the first place in oil exports, in 2014 Russia, now it is Saudi Arabia. In general, on a global scale, the distribution of world oil reserves on planet Earth is uneven. So, according to the American Petroleum Institute, API, about 62% of all world explored oil reserves are concentrated in the Middle East, primarily in the Gulf countries. You should start with oil production in the modern world. In accordance with one of the methodologies, it is customary to divide world oil production into two stages. From the beginning of history until 1979, from 1979 to the present day. 1979 was marked as a milestone. Since that year, the maximum oil production was recorded, 3,236 million tons. From the beginning of the 20th century to the end of the 70s, there was a stable growth in the rate of extraction of raw materials. The development of the oil field went exponentially. After 1980, the pace began to decline markedly. Today, there is a resumption of growth in the annual production of raw materials, but not as rapid as in the 20th century. Oil-producing countries in the world: leaders: Saudi Arabia, Russian Federation, USA, Iraq, Iran, Canada, China, UAE, Kuwait, Venezuela. The country that produces the most oil is Saudi Arabia. More than 13.4% of the total volume of oil sold on the market is supplied by Saudi Arabia. In terms of deposits, the country is also not inferior to other leaders. Its subsoil contains 585,700,000 tons of oil. The first deposits were discovered in the country in 1938, but despite such a discovery, they could only start active oil production only after the end of the Second World War in 1946, and only in 3 years the industrial sector of Saudi Arabia was completely focused on the production and processing of oil. At the moment, 45% of the total GDP belongs to oil production and the production of related products. In terms of oil reserves, it also occupies a leading position, 260 billion barrels, which is 25% of all oil reserves on Earth. Russian Federation. According to experts, the Russian Federation owns about 13% of the world's proven oil deposits. The oil industry is the backbone of the Russian economy. The country is one of the leaders in the extraction and export of raw materials. In 2017, 547 billion tons of fuel were extracted in Russia. Production volumes show an annual increase of approximately 10 billion tons. In one day, the country produces about 11.26 million barrels. A huge number of oil fields are located within the Russian borders. Most of them have not yet been studied. It was decided not to develop some fields because of the specifics of their location and difficulties in extracting raw materials. Today, there is an active development of oil deposits in western and eastern Siberia. Large volumes of raw material production have been registered in the Khanty-Mansiysk Autonomous Okrug and the Timan-Pechora oil region. Oil is also produced in the Krasnoyarsk territory and in the Yamalo-Nenets Autonomous Okrug. The production of Russian shale oil is mainly carried out in western Siberia. A feature of the development of this type of oil is the need to clean the raw material from impurities. Now, the cost of producing shale oil is quite high, but with the development of technologies, a sharp increase in the profitability of the extraction of such raw materials is expected. USA. Until 2015, the United States was considered only the leader in oil consumption and was never among the leaders of countries that sell black gold to the world market. But not so long ago, the situation changed. Now, the United States provides about 12.5% of the total oil traded on the world market. The best oil-producing states are Texas, California, and Alaska. Over the past few years, namely from the time at the beginning of 2000, in North America, they began to intensively use the technology of shale oil production and the lifting of the ban by the US Congress on the development of the shelf. The USA became the third net oil exporter in the world after more than 40 years of hiatus. Iraq is not far in the ranking. It supplies just over 5% of the total oil in the world market. In terms of strategic reserves, the state has 140.3 billion barrels of reserves of this wealth. Iran is close in terms of oil supplies to the world market to Canada. They change places periodically. Today, Iran annually supplies about 5% of the total world market. But Iran is richer in strategic reserves than Canada. Experts estimate oil deposits at 157.3 billion barrels. This should be enough for the normal functioning of the industry for more than 100 years. Venezuela owns a little less than 3% of the total volume of oil supplied to the world market. Oil provides the state with more than 90% of all external income from exports. At the same time, the density of oil fields in Venezuela is the largest in the world. There are about 46 billion tons of oil reserves on the territory of the state. Kuwait is an OPEC member state. Here, oil production began in the 30s of the 20th century. Oil production forms more than 90% of the entire revenue side of the budget. High production of black gold allows to provide residents of the state with a high standard of living. In terms of production and exports, Kuwait supplies 3.5% of the total volume of oil on the world market. It's no secret that the UAE rose precisely due to the production and export of oil. In world positions, the state confidently occupies a leading position. It is in the top 10. The share of exports to the world market is about 4.2%, which in absolute terms is 0.182 billion tons. The richest area in China where black gold is mined is its northeast region. Extraction has been actively developing since the 70s of the 20th century. In terms of export volume, China does not differ much from the UAE. Its share is 4.6% of the world volume. Thanks for watching. I hope you are interested and see you